Do you have to do zone 2 training to get really fit? Or is there other ways to do it? Well, I've just come back off a 4-hour ride with Eamonn, who featured in the longevity video a few weeks ago. And his 4-hour endurance rides, 4 hours or more, are definitely not zone 2. There's a lot of zone 2, but there's also quite a bit above that. But he does sort of stay below hard threshold efforts and VO2, keeping it very aerobic. So his 4-hour ride is really a 4-hour aerobic ride within those zones 2 and 3, probably maybe touching on 4 sometimes on big hills. And he's been doing these for years and he is very fit. So I had a chat with Eamonn about his take on his rides and zone 2 and whether you needed to stick to zone 2 in his mind to get fit. So here's his thoughts on his 4-hour general rides and what you need to do to build a good base. Okay. And now your general rides, like we're a good 2 hours into a general ride, which is your sort of aerobic training, your sort of base miles. They're not sort of like zone 2 riding, which is in the last few years it's been zone 2 is what you need to do to build base, but your base seems to be built on a more varied sort of aerobic ride. I'm sort of aware of that. If we'd have come out to do zone 2 rigorously, we'd have gone up that climb crawl. So yeah, I like the volume. I think the volume makes you strong. I think it makes you a better bike rider, and it allows you to build a higher peak. And then within that, you've got to have some fun as well, haven't you? Well, I kind of like, me and you out riding today, the sun's shining, it's a fantastic November day. I'm at a stage where, I want to have a bit of fun as well. If I compromise my zone 2 today, I'm quite happily sleep well tonight. Yeah. So, as we said earlier, if you come up that climb, which was a pretty stiff climb, you can get 10 minutes of quality. I did hold back a little bit, so I was aware, so it was more than zone 2, but 10 minutes in you could look at today's ride and think most of it is zone 2, and then on those 2 or 3 10-15 minute climbs we've done, you can do a bit of higher end aerobic. Yeah, when we go back, you look at your average power or whatever, heart rate, and it probably will be around that sort of level still, won't it? When we get back, we won't class the ride as hard. It'll be long. Yeah. We need the carbs and that, but we wouldn't tick it off as being a hard ride. You tend to sort of do a long ride, and then because of the hills and that, you're happy to throw in a few intervals at like sweet spot. Yeah, I think I use the terrain. Maybe it's a bit of an excuse because I'm not that so disciplined as I could or should be to do a specific interval. I will do specific intervals, but I'm happy to use the terrain. And I think also we all play to our strengths, and there's a point in a 2-hour ride, a 4-hour ride, 2 hours in, for whatever reason I tend to start, I feel okay. Yeah. So it kind of suits me. So we tend to do what we're slightly good at. Yeah, I guess it's hard to know would riding strict zone 2
be better?
Yes, it might be. It's a personal thing, I guess. There's more than one way to reach the top. You've just got to tick all the boxes along the way. Yes, it might do. It's whether...
Well, I think one of the benefits of Zone 2 is meant to be that you can do more of it because you're less fatigued. You know, like riding hard up hills and stuff like that fatigues you more, which means you're not so capable the next day. Whereas with Zone 2, because it's less fatiguing, you can do more of it, I guess.
Yeah, and
I guess if you're short of time, doing at least a good 3-4 hour ride in a week, even if it is above Zone 2, is still good aerobic training. You just have to have a bit more rest.
Yes.
From that.
Yeah, I wouldn't claim sometimes. I mean, my volume rides historically on a Sunday ride, like most people, are done in a group, and you ride out of your zone because you don't want to get dropped.
Yeah.
So,
well, no, exactly. Yeah.
The downside maybe of a level 2 ride, and maybe all structured track training, is that to do it successfully, you pretty much got to do it on your own.
Yeah.
There's room for both, and you've got to be, you know, what are your aims? Yes, you want to be fit. Yes, you want to feel bomb-proof on the bike, but you want to have a bit of fun as well.
Yeah.
And if your legs are feeling good, stick a few more watts on the hill.
I found the trouble is with sort of Zone 2, is it is a very steady ride. It doesn't strain your muscles much, and then you do VO2, hard effort, but then you sort of do nothing in between for those longer, you know, muscular endurance sort of efforts, like our back climb. So doing, like you were saying, 2x20s and things like that sometimes probably is better for me than just doing that Zone 2 stuff.
Yeah, you find out what works for you, and if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to do it. So there's got to be an element of, you've got to get some enjoyment out of it, and because there's certainly some intervals in that we do that we don't enjoy, but we know that they're going to produce something. I think I'd rather do a 4-hour ride than 4 1-hour rides.
You need that endurance to really, you know, fatigue your fibres.
I'd go along with that.
Doing that, which is, I guess, your 4-hour general ride. Is that sort of?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I would, you know, we had a bit of fun on the hill there, but by and large, we've been conversational pace on this
we have actually
ride, so I think whilst it might not be exactly what the book says, I think you can put it in your training diary as 4 hours general. I think it's we're come out, we're doing some endurance ride. I think wherever we've been today in terms of effort, intensity, heart rate, power, it's all been endurance. And you know, that'll do for me.
So I hope you enjoyed that and found it food for thought. What do you think? Stick it in the comments below. Do you stick to Zone 2 religiously on your rides, or do you do rides which by their nature, because of your hilly terrain or whatever, stray up from Zone 2? And have you got fit? I think personally the biggest difference or the biggest thing is just to do a long ride, because whether you do Zone 2 or above, you are fatiguing those slow twitch fibres, and the main difference is on a long ride like I've just done, I'd probably be afterwards a bit more tired than I am if I just do a Zone 2 ride. So one of the benefits of Zone 2 riding is that you can do it and it doesn't fatigue you too much. as I said, I hope you found the video useful, and until next time, bye for now.